your host, Steve.
All right, welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And, I don't know, Alex, but I think that intro via Blog Talk or Skype or whatever is starting to sound like the announcer is underwater and is like drowning in the abyss.
That makes it even better.
Yeah. Tonight, guys, folks, listeners, whoever, we are having paranormal open lines tonight, so virtually it is your show. If you have anything you'd like to discuss under the paranormal umbrella, we will certainly invite your calls. You can do so at 914-803-4095. I guess just a few announcements before we take our short break here. Let the listeners climb in here to chat and to listen to the show. I'm not a big football fan. We were talking about this before we went live here, Alex. Yes, everybody who is a football fan who listens, New Orleans Saints beat the Colts 31-17. So I'm glad because I like the underdogs to win, and hey, the Saints win, and for the state, and for the city of New Orleans, what they've been through. I think that's it's amazing. And it certainly will bring people back to that area after Katrina.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a tragedy, but this at least will give them something to look forward to, I guess.
Absolutely. I wanted to get a promo for a guest that we've had on the show a few times, and a friend of yours and myself there, Alex, Robbie Thomas, who's got his Psychic Justice tour going on throughout Canada and the U.S. I will be a part of it. I will be guest speaking the 7th and 8th of March, the 8th and 9th of March in Toronto and Mississauga. I will be opening up there to talk about EVPs and the whole theory behind that. What is cool about this is that $5 of each ticket that's sold goes to a foundation that helps families who have missing loved ones. I think that's amazing. And it's definitely well worth it. Of course, Robbie has been linked to obviously the Torrey Stafford case, which was obviously a tragic ending, which is sad. So I mean, people will buy the tickets for this. I think it's certainly worth it, and not because I'm going to be there, but I mean, just to help bring awareness on missing children. Period. I mean, this is what it's really about, because it's really sad. It's tragic, and no matter how much is poured into it on an enforcement side, everybody doesn't have those answers, and it's always good to give to something like this, because I mean it's a peace of mind for the families, for people who are caring enough to help out these families in need, because I mean let's face it, how many children go missing a year, and not just here, but all over the world. I mean, literally, probably millions.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, his tour goes throughout the States and here in Canada, Sarnia, Toronto, and Mississauga. For more details on that, you can go to his website at robbiethomas.net for tickets. I think it's the Toronto stop is at a place called the Nava Club in Richmond Hill, I believe, and in Mississauga it's at the Vic Johnson Center, which is in the Streetsville area. So come on out. I personally would certainly love to see you guys and talk, chat, and whatever else. I will be there again at the beginning of the night talking about EVPs and stuff like that. Because I don't know about you, Alex. EVPs seem to be the most direct way that many people investigate the paranormal, sort of have that connection.
Yeah, I mean that's what everybody tries to aim at getting, I guess, because it's one of the easier. Well, I hate to say it using that term, but it's one of the easier ways for everybody to participate and try to do paranormal research is through that, and it's a form of hope and communication.
Absolutely, and you know what? I hate calling it evidence because it really isn't, because we can't really prove. Again, that it is evidence, but you know what? It certainly gives us a good handle on what we have to deal with in trying to prove that yes, there is something going on the other side, that darkness, that unknown realm that we can only, we can't even grasp it. Only through theory. And I think that's what many people like us who investigate and research this, do the legwork, are the people that are really, really laying the groundwork for people who in the future would like to do this kind of work, if you want to put it that way. To some people it is work. To many it's a hobby. So many people have different avenues on ways to get there. So, the price of the tickets is $45 for the Psychic Justice Tour. $45, and like I said, $5 of each ticket sold goes to I can't remember the name of the foundation, but there's a foundation set up for missing children. And again, this is to aid people. Families who have children that are missing, so it's certainly worthwhile to grab those tickets if you can. And hey, I'd love to see you guys. This is why I do it, because I like interacting with people who are also in the paranormal, who do the legwork and everything else. And I love learning from all you guys as well, because I'm learning. I am no expert, and I'll tell you. There's no expert in me. Like I said, I'm a student and I can continue to be. So it's amazing. March 8th and March 9th in Toronto, Richmond Hill, the Nava Club, and Mississauga March 9th at the Vic Johnson Center in Streetsville /Mississauga. It's like I said, come on out if you can. And like I said, $5 of each ticket goes to a good cause. I mean, let's help these families who have missing children. Children is plural anyway, so I don't need to pluralize the plural. Exactly. So you know what, Alex? We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to open up the lines for you guys. It's Paranormal Open Lines. Call in 914-803-4095. The lines are open for the full 2 hours of the show. We certainly would love to hear from you guys. If there's something that's on your mind in the paranormal, or some news, suggestions, comments, arguments, criticisms, you name it. Bring them on in. We certainly would love to hear them. I mean, that's why we have this show. For you guys, for those who constantly listen every Sunday night here at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday night. So let's take our short break, guys, and we'll be right back with Paranormal Open Lines. Hold tight. Hello, and welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and tonight, Paranormal Open Lines. Once again, we are taking calls all evening, the full 2 hours. You can do so at 914-803-4095. Welcome back, Alex.
Glad to be back, as always.
Maybe I'll interview you. So no.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants to hear yet again, right?
I'm gonna put you on the spot now. I want to thank everybody. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And again, obviously the regulars who keep tuning in every Sunday night. It's great to see you all back every every Sunday, as monotonous as it may seem. No, I'm just kidding. Alex and I will have a big announcement next. Hopefully next. I think I'm pretty sure probably next weekend, right? Next Sunday night we'll have a big announcement. We'll wait, right?
Yeah, I think we should wait until next week.
Yeah, we'll wait
everybody in suspense and have him come back on. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Big announcement for the show, and obviously, hopefully, not the last big announcement we'll have for this show. So, like I said, I want to thank everybody for supporting it. It'll be close to 2 years since we got this sucker going. But thanks for tuning in. Needless to say. So let's get the open lines going. The lines are open, and give us a call. What
should we talk about first, Steve?
There's one thing, and it was sort of mentioned. Somebody's psychic in the chat room. Actually, one topic that I wanted to sort of throw out there. Yes, many of us are very, very skeptical on certain aspects of the paranormal, and to the point downright debunking it. And, with obvious reasons, and I don't blame that because I myself am skeptical in a lot of things as well. But certain people in the field, I think, have a different agenda. They downright debunk. And I really, I think, want to know why. I could see why, maybe because they want to see evidence presented, and we all do too. But I mean, to the point where even evidence is presented, that doesn't stop. They don't stop. It continues. Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand this. I mean, what do you think, Alex? I mean, why do they continue?
Well, the question could be asked the same about us. Why do we continue doing what we do? I think it's just something that they like doing, personally. Just like we like doing what we do. We go out and trying to capture evidence and what have you. They like just throwing it down the gutter. That's what makes them, I guess that's what makes them tick.
Yeah, I mean, I can take criticism and, especially when I present something as possible evidence, and I will continue to say possible. I won't say it's evidence because, I mean, I have no proof that it is evidence, other than, through theory that's the set of rules I want to say that some Darwinian institution has provided for us to say that it's, evidence or not. But hey, whatever, bring it on. Because if you have a better theory or if you have some criticisms, I want to hear it because, hey, I'm open to it, suggestion. It's the only way we're going to further things, I think. And it also creates debate. It opens lines of communication, which I think that we need in this field to keep the lines open. Because if the lines aren't open, we pocket ourselves. We don't get anywhere. We are, smash back to the Stone Age especially before the internet. I mean, before the internet, the communication between these groups was almost non-existent, and now with the advent of the internet and other things, obviously, it's opened that avenue. And I don't know. What do you think, Alex? Do you think that a lot of these groups and a lot of the people in the paranormal have opened up?
To each other, you mean?
Yeah, started networking with people, or do you think people are still closing themselves off?
I don't know. You know what? From what I've seen so far, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I haven't seen everything by far, but I keep hearing all these horror stories about there's people that always constantly at each other's throats. So I guess the advent of the internet sort of, in a way, has brought people together, but it's also given them an avenue to sort of do what people generally do best with each other, and they try to compete and win over each other and saying I'm the best, you're not, and this kind of stuff. I mean, It's human nature. You can't avoid it.
Yes, human nature. There's another thing, Alex. Do we carry that over to the other side, do you think? Our traits, our personal traits?
I hope not.
Like, you hear people constantly saying that, I was possessed by a demon. I was attacked by a demon. Or I have demonic activity in my home. Now, do you think that, in fact, this quote-unquote demonic aspect of whatever's going on is, in fact, maybe somebody's human trait that they carried over from the living to the other side, to the other realm, that, in fact, in life they were evil, essentially evil, and they just brought it with them to the other side?
You know what? That's a very good possibility. I mean, if you look at historically, people in the past have been so afraid of demons and how in a large part, thanks to all the major religions in the world, this is what was instilled upon them. They weren't allowed to be educated and know any different like we are today. So it's quite possible that when someone has been bad and knows that they've been bad, that they would consider themselves, or maybe consider themselves, to be demonic and carry out activity that would, resemble a demon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, again, obviously we just theorize, and I think it's really, really aggravating because, I mean, without this research and the investigations that many of us go out there and conduct, we'd be just sitting in front of the TV and watching the shows and watching these pretty people on TV do these investigations. And unfortunately, a lot of us are still doing that. I'm saying us because it's more, a majority of a lot of people out there that believe that these shows are presenting the real deal. And you know what? I don't want to get into the shows again now. I just don't, because they've been done. I mean, they're plastered all over TV. People are sick of them because because they're showing that it's not real. It's just they're not showing you exactly what's going on in the real realm of investigating and researching the paranormal. They're only, if anything, they're only giving you a glimpse, and a very bad glimpse at that.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, everybody unfortunately has to learn the hard way. I've learned the hard way. When I went out and did my own investigations, I've quickly realized how difficult it really was. But I mean, unfortunately, that's one of the things that for us seems to be our best lesson. A lot of us, I shouldn't say all of us, a lot of us will learn only through trial and error. Whereas there are a few people who are actually able to learn just by using either just intellect alone or learning off of somebody else's mistakes or what have you.
Absolutely. Naz in chat. Paranormal TV equals blah blah blah. I have to agree. I think that's a good title for our. Maybe we should get a paranormal TV show going up. And Naz, can we borrow your catchphrase there, your title there? Paranormal TV equals blah blah blah. I like that. I like that. That's good.
Hey, Naz can be our mascot.
Yeah. Oh man. You know what? It's just amazing. Guys, once again, we have Paranormal Open Lines. This show is virtually yours, and we encourage you. We invite your call. So please call us at 914-803-4095 if you have something that interests you in the paranormal. If you're a paranormal researcher, investigator, or you just have a general interest in the paranormal, it doesn't have to be ghost hunting. It could be anything under the paranormal. And let's face it, there's a lot of topics in the paranormal that are, out there that, I mean, look at who would ever have guessed? I don't know, Alex, if you remember a show that we did a while ago on the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah, I
remember that show?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Puck Wedgie?
Yes, that's right.
Now, who would ever have thought of the puck wedgie?
Yeah. And you know what? It's not this is not the only show I've heard that name. I've heard that name in other shows too.
Yeah, well, since again, it's opening that awareness, it's opening that avenue, because I mean, a lot of people probably had no idea what the hell a puck wedgie was, but and again, it's the same with how many people. Well, I shouldn't say how many people. I'm sure a lot of people knew what the New Jersey Devil was, and no, it's not a hockey team. Yeah, it is a hockey team, but not the one we're talking about. Yeah, but I mean, like, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is bringing awareness to people who may not know certain aspects of what's going on in the paranormal. At least trying to give them better understanding. Naz brings up, let's talk about the possibility of bringing a spirit home. Yeah, that's a big possibility. And again, I was actually in contact with a person who was looking for some advice. They emailed me and told me their situation with their home, that they had some activity going on, and what type of activity. And one of the questions was, is it possible that I have brought a spirit or something home with me from the other previous location? And theory. Again, I hate throwing the word theory out there, but unfortunately that's all we have to go on. Theory does state that that is very possible. May it be you yourself bring it, or maybe an object that you bring in your home or location, whatever, that the actual energy might be attached to the object itself. We hear about this all the time. I guess in a lot of ways, a lot of people, that's one of the major reasons why people will say, well, you shouldn't use a Ouija board because you might bring something home with you. You might open that door. You might open that door, and something might attach itself to you. I've heard it. Obviously with certain people will tell you, well, you shouldn't be doing EVP work because you're trying to make contact with the dead, and that's not right. You might have something latch onto you, and you might bring it home, and you might create a haunting in your own home. Alex, let me ask you, have you had that experience?
Oh, hell no.
So far. Are you sure?
No.
How do you know?
Well, some people might argue that I am possessed, but that's their opinion. I played the Ouija board for many, many years when I was younger, and nothing that I am aware of has followed me home.
Let me ask you, and the way you say it, I played the Ouija board. Do you think that's? I don't know. To me, it's always sounds funny when somebody says play the Ouija board.
Well, technically, I mean, it wasn't designed initially as a game, but that's what it quickly became when I think it was Milton Bradley or one of the two manufacturers, either Milton Bradley or Hasbro, one of the two mass-produced it and made it into a game. I don't know how else to put it, really. How else would you put it? I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's get in. Let's get into the Ouija. A lot of people don't know anything other that the Ouija board was made. It's a board game, and it was created by Milton Bradley. The current incarnation of it, yes, but that's not where it started. That's where it was started to. That's where it became mass produced and brought to the general awareness. But no, the Ouija board itself, the actual concept, it's ancient for eons. I mean, before Christianity, wasn't it?
It does go far back. I don't know the exact dates, but it's like anything else. People have been trying to divine for as long as we can remember. And they've used different methods, of course. Ouija, or a form of what we know now is the Ouija was used, obviously, gazing into a pool of water, candles, you name it. People have always been trying to communicate with the dead one way or another, and that's not going to stop. I mean, let's be realistic. People who argue that you're bringing something in or you're opening something up when you're playing the Ouija board are just trying to instill fear. Is there a possibility? Of course, there is a possibility. There's a possibility of anything. It's like when you play with a gun for the first time. If you don't know how to properly use a gun, you can shoot your damn foot off. You know what I mean? You got to be prepared, and that's the key. Right? You can't just go into it blindly and assume that nothing's going to go wrong, and whatever the case may be. Like with anything else, you have to be prepared, and you have to be ready that, be aware that there is a possibility that something could go wrong if you don't protect yourself.
We have a caller, just before I get to the caller here. Here's a little bit of tidbit. Okay, the first historical mention of something resembling a Ouija board is found in China around 1100 BC. Wow.
Right.
Amazing. Well, there you go. That alone, that's just the board itself. So, and we have to remember, it's not the same as that board that everybody buys in the store. No, it's quite different. Anyways, let's get to our first caller here. Hello, 509. Welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Thank you, Steve. How are you, sir?
Hey, Chad. How are you?
Just loving the show. I think that's a lot of interesting topics, and of course, with you having the open lines tonight, got me thinking on some stuff. But you're talking about Ouija boards right now, and
yep.
You guys probably know this, but ouijia, 2 words meaning yes, yes. We in French, ja in German. 2 different languages meaning yes, yes, and put together for a reason. That's the spell, by the way. And Milton Bradley didn't intend that, I don't think. But but you're right. It's an old tool for opening up. It's called yes, yes because of the channel you're opening up to whatever influences are coming through. And you have to say yes, yes before you can be possessed or be occupied, we'll say.
Well, let me ask you, Chad. Have you had any experiences with the Ouija board at all?
Only with what you're mentioning, or the other gentleman's mentioning, with playing with it as kids. Not anything serious. No, I never really took it serious either. I don't believe it's the board that's doing this. I think it's the energies and the consciousness of the people touching it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I mean, it's like anything else. The board itself, especially nowadays, it's being mass-produced. And I mentioned this before on another show, Steve. It's not like they have some guy at the end of the assembly line cursing every bloody board that comes out. What it is, it's a tool like anything else. Just like a hammer's a tool, you can use a hammer to build a house or smash somebody's head in. It's how you use it that counts. It's your intent, and it's what you are all about personally that I think makes the difference as to whether the Ouija board can be a bad or a good experience.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay. Well, let's dive into this a little bit. Okay, what do you think it is about the whole scenario about you shouldn't play with that because you might open up some doors and bring something home or attach something to you or whatnot. Where did that come into consciousness with this whole aspect with the Ouija board?
Cold.
Do we really?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Who was it? Gary? What's your name? Sorry, the caller? Chad, right?
Yeah, Chad.
Chad, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead and see what you're going to say.
Oh, I was just, where it came from or how it got that way is it was deemed occult or something to be hidden and not touched. For what reason, we can only speculate, but apparently someone felt it would be dangerous for the average people to be connecting inside directly with this kind of information. Probably makes them really hard to control.
Mm-hmm, definitely, and let's keep in mind that also because it's such an ancient tool, as with any divinity or divination tool, rather, this is no different. This is at a time also when the church had its really strong hold on its followers and did not allow their followers to basically be educated. You want to keep them uneducated, and what best way to do that but to keep them in fear as well. Plus, let's not forget that it's a pretty well-known fact to most people nowadays that divination was only reserved for the elite, meaning at the time the church elders. And anybody else using it, of course, was just not, looked up on. It was looked down upon, frowned upon, and they tried to, I guess, instill fear so that people would not use it. And that's been ingrained in us for so many hundreds of years that it's really hard to really get away from that, even in today's world.
I think it's all it all leads back to that what was mentioned, obviously, that Chad and you, Alex, mentioned, and I guess we could throw in the whole scenario where what was it, the 40s and the 50s when the American government was experimenting with LSD and the effects that it had on the soldiers or the people that were using the hallucinogens. But not only that, and tying drug use to these boards, and you get like complete that negative scenario. I mean, I've heard that several times. Oh well, let's drop a few hits of acid or smoke a few joints or whatever. Let's get the board going. Do you think it's about? Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Do you think? do you think that's a bad mix?
Well, throughout the beginning of time, humanity's always used some type of mind-altering substance to connect with other worlds, spirit worlds, dream time, depends on where you were born. But we've always done it. Is there something there, or is it just a fun afternoon?
Yeah. Okay, let's.
You know what? With mind-altering drugs, what ends up happening, and this is again theories like everything else. It opens up your mind, for lack of a better term. It opens up your subconscious, and because basically what it is your conscious mind loses its stronghold on the subconscious when you're using mind-altering drugs, because you're basically in la la land. So now everything that's in your subconscious comes through. And a lot of these hallucinations that people are having on these hallucinogenic drugs are probably due to that being amplified by the drug itself. Now, is it bad news if you do that along with playing something like the Ouija board? It could very well be, because again, if you're hallucinating and you're playing something and you're expecting something to happen when you're playing, your mind might very well make that a reality.
When we dream at night, when you lay down and go to sleep, there's a little part in the back of your brain that opens up and it releases a chemical, and while you're dreaming, I'm not sure if it causes you to dream or if it's just released as a result of what you're thinking in the dream, or who knows. But it's released, and when you take mescaline or a hallucinogenic substance, it basically opens up the same valve, and you're dreaming while you're awake. Thus, you hallucinate.
Are you talking about DMT?
Anything, actually. LSD, even marijuana, is a hallucinogenic class substance that supposedly, makes you hallucinate. Any of these things open up the dream valve in the brain, so to some degree, you're dreaming while you're awake. Like you said, both sides of your mind, conscious and unconscious, kind of mix together and swirl around in a glass, and you just get to watch it. But my thing is what if the brain is just a receiving signal for frequencies or realities, and apparently by taking substances, they alter the frequencies, which, of course, alter the reality. You see where I'm going? What if it is just the brain going through different chemical reactions, even like when we sleep, where it's just this chemical reaction that's opening up, and now all of a sudden, because it's different, we're experiencing a different reality because we're the conduit here. We make reality via this frequency.
And that's been a thought of mine as well for a while. I mean, because we're dealing with the unknown largely in this field, anything goes. That theory is plausible. Any other theory is plausible. And a lot of people have said that the mind is a receiver as well as somewhat of a transmitter. Some people are better at it than others as far as transmitting, but we are receivers nonetheless. The brain part of it anyway, because we receive signals already from the five senses, the five physical senses, such as the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the touch, and everything else. So one would like to believe that the mind is a receiver in general, as well as a processor. Yeah, and
right?
that's quite a possibility where you take a drug and it alters the way your brain perceives things and alters it in a way that it allows you to see things that might not be visible otherwise.
And based on, that's funny you said that, because I'm sure you guys are aware of what's called the observer principle, where when you look at something, it changes state, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Well, now think about that. If that's true, if that model of reality is true, then by taking a substance that changes your perception, you're literally changing the reality around you.
Mm-hmm. That's also been used in the quantum physics theories, aren't they? I'm not really big on quantum physics. I don't know much about it, but I thought I heard something like that to some extent in quantum physics.
I just want to remind everybody we have paranormal open lines tonight on Nocturnal Frequency Radio. If you'd like to call in and discuss something under the paranormal umbrella, you can do so at 914-803-4095 or join us in chat. It's free, and sign for a free account here, and you can fully interact. Wow, this I don't know what it is, Alex. I think you're taking a beating in the chat room there. They seem to think you're passing in and out of a tunnel or something.
I might. You know what? It's Skype, unfortunately. There's not much I can do about that.
That's what I say. Yeah, it's Skype. Skype's always wonderful. If it's not Skype, then it's Blog Talk Radio.
We always have to
And
we all know how Blog Talk is.
I got a question for you guys, though, because you guys investigate this stuff, and I think that's cool, because I've always said if I had the means, the funds, the time, all those combination of things, I would go get 100% solid, there's your proof, damn it. You know, I would go get it in whatever form it takes, a video, whatever, something tangible. And but here's the thing, and because they're so difficult to obviously capture, I always said go to a location and just stay there until you get it. I don't care if it takes 6 months. Eventually it will appear, and you've got it, and then it's done. But anyway, I've thought about maybe there's other events that are paranormal or metaphysical that we could catalog, that we could document, that are easier to shoot, where we know where it's going on, we can go there and observe it if they would show us. And here's my first thought: is you guys have heard of monks that can levitate? They meditate and can levitate off the floor. We've all heard of this, and I do believe this. I'm not in any way doubting it or disbelieving it. I've spoken with them, or I've spoken with those who claim to have been there and studied with them and saw it. I don't disbelieve it, but my thing is this: if people can really do that right now, today, as we're talking right now, if they can do that, and we're just talking about it out here, then it is not right for all of humanity. That's like me discovering fire and saying, well, I don't think I'll tell you guys yet. Or figuring out the wheel or the transistor or whatever, and not sharing it with the rest of the world. If that's a true reality and that understanding that those people hold could be spread to the rest of the world, how far would that advance humanity? And I don't buy the sacred code that, well, the people aren't ready for this knowledge. Well, who the hell are you to decide that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've been saying. But you know what? Not only that, okay, well, let's take this step by step here. Number one, you're right, Chad. Why, you know, most people who really get this, will visit a location over and over and over and over again until they can get that evidence. And let me tell you, that evidence it's downright hard to get, period. Yeah. But you can also add and say, and again, adding on to what you're saying, you know, if you do get that evidence, then you have to try to sell it to those to believe it.
Yeah, and someone like you said is always, they're always debunking it, like you were saying earlier, no matter what.
Even with the monks that you referred to, I mean, there have been documented cases of that. Now it's a question of, like anything else in this field, it's their word against ours. And they can say I went there, I experienced it, I photographed it, here are the photos to prove it. Well, those photos could be doctored. I wasn't there, I don't know. right?
I
So
know.
it becomes he, she, he, whatever that saying is. He said, she said. There you go. It becomes a game of that. Unfortunately, as far as who has the right to tell everybody that whatever, I'm kind of on the fence on that issue as to whether everybody should know everything. And the only reason is because the more people know about this sort of stuff, like if there actually is an ability for everybody to be able to levitate, let's say, just for the sake of this argument, and use this as an example, if everybody could learn how to levitate, imagine all the things that could go wrong with people who have had throughout their lives bad intentions as well. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to make it a public lesson, like you teach it in public school and stuff like this? It's just going to get. I know what you're getting at, and I agree with it in the sense that we should be the ones to decide whether we should get this kind of information or not. But like anything else, there's always those bad apples in every bunch. You're ruining it for everybody else, and you got to be careful who you spread this sort of information and sort of knowledge to.
I get that, Alex, and if the way I understand it, I can't levitate myself, so I can't speak from that point of view. But I can say from those I've spoken with is that the universe has some built-in little safety mechanisms that prevent that sort of thing from ever happening. Hitler couldn't have gotten any bigger than he was. There's a reason why, and so a person to come into that state of mind where you're able to produce those type of effects or results or experiences, you have to be of a different type of mindset to even get to that level. So that way it keeps people that would be having a bad day and wipe out a city or implode the universe or some other, chaotic event just from a thought, which apparently all these ancients say is exactly how it works when you really get down to it.
Okay, guys, I have another caller here. Let's bring them in. 386, you're live on Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
What's up, guys? Hey, it's George from Dead Air. How you doing tonight?
Hey, George, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I guess a quick shout-out to the New Orleans Saints. Congratulations tonight.
Yeah, we mentioned that at the top of the show. I love Underdog, and I'll tell you right now, I'm completely happy that they won, especially for the team who's never won it, and for the city.
Yeah, and then it actually kind of motivated to head out there in about 9 days. I think I actually want to get out there for my first Mardi Gras and maybe even try to set up to get out to Myrtle's Plantation during that time.
That's an interesting place.
Yeah, I'd like to try it. Quick thing on what you guys are talking about. I think the only time I've ever levitated is when I was getting stoned and using a Ouija board.
I think that's the only time I ever levitated myself. But yeah.
But I was listening to the topic you guys were talking about there, and I'm reading the chat room at the same time, and this one person cat in there is bringing up a lot of things about why we don't know so much and why we're not told so much. And I've discussed this before about the whole aspect of the general public and whether or not they should know so many different things. Everything from Roswell to the possibility of life after death, and whether or not they could really deal with it. And you wonder sometimes whether or not there's rules from the other side, that the reason why we're not told directly what's to happen after we die, because I don't think that we really, at least as a general public aspect, should, because if it's a situation of, look, what this says, and let's take the Catholic Bible as an example, and I don't want to wax on religiously, but if they say, okay, if you say your penance and you go to heaven no matter what you do, no matter what crimes you commit, it kind of waves you back from being afraid. And I think fear is a good factor when it comes to making sure that you stay on the straight and narrow in life. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have to be restricted from the normal American or regular human being in general out there who doesn't need to know everything that's going on out there, because I don't think they could really actually process it correctly. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think part of the problem is that even like you take today's society in general, and we think we know a lot, and we might know a lot as far as technologically is concerned and whatnot. I mean, there's still a lot more to discover, but the average person can't even fathom what we know today as a society, let alone having all this like grand design sort of information thrown upon us. I mean, that's just going to make us all ludicrous.
I agree.
Aren't we already ludicrous?
Now after that, all of this other stuff, and you're going to be even more ludicrous.
Yeah.
That's what I would.
Go ahead, Chad.
Well, what you said is exactly what I was thinking. That we're to a point now where we are ludicrous. But what if people were informed? I mean, really informed. What if all the stuff you saw on TV was real information, and we were using media to make people aware rather than asleep? What if we were doing that? Then you could have a consensus, a population of people that really know whatever's really going on. Whatever the latest information we really have. If you gave people that, now all of a sudden I think they would be in a position where, yeah, levitation, aliens, whatever it really is, we can deal with it. But no, right now we've been put into a condition and state where we don't know anything. We've got 4 pieces to a 10,000-piece puzzle, and we think we know what's going on. And so we're not in a state where we can accept, what's going on.
I think this boils down to the personal level. You have to be personally prepared in order to get this. I think the information is there for the taking, to be honest with you. With all the ancient texts that have been written in the past, yeah, there's a lot of mumbo-jumbo, just like there is on the Internet, and it's your job to sift through it. I think it's there, but I think the problem is that we're going about it the wrong way. We expect everything done for us. We expect things done today, and this is just something that is not going to happen. You have to work at it, just like all the old masters of the alchemists. It's a long process, and the only way you're going to get any result and yield any results is if you work hard at it and you keep at it.
Well, let me, sort of add or build on to what you just mentioned there, Alex. And let me get your take, George and Chad as well. Now, do you think that the current state of how we investigate and research the paranormal, is it a control factor? Is it something that has been instilled, and yet there is some sort of I don't want to say shadowy group. I don't want to say that and make this into conspiracy theory. I don't want to do that. But do you think that there's actually a group or an outfit right now that is in fact cutting edge and completely going about researching and investigating the paranormal in such a different manner, yet and we'll use the TV shows again because they know, let's face it, TV is a powerful medium, as the control factor and showing, projecting that people, this is the way you need to approach the paranormal. Let's put you in that trance. And, of course, and look, it's working because, unfortunately, you see a lot of these groups coming out today, repeating what they see on TV and pretty much throwing us all back to the Stone Age. And I don't want to say everybody, because there are people out there that investigate it seriously, that truly want to know those answers, but yet are still in that fog because, I don't know what I'm trying to. But is there another door here that somebody else has put in place that we need to find the key to before we even get close to figuring out any of the answers to the paranormal?
I would, I would have to say, and because we talk about a broad aspect of the paranormal, we talk the categories of UFOs, Bigfoot, all the mythological creatures that are out there, and I guess what you're trying to say in the question is, are there different ways of picking up UFO? Can we capture Bigfoot with a net, and can we capture ghosts in a different terminology than what we've been seeing from the mainstream media and from what the format is that everybody seems to be using right now? This field, that broad spectrum of paranormal, it's morphing right now. It's not even an evolution. It's now in a morphing stage, and it's changing from the technology that we're using to the philosophy behind it, be it religious or scientific. There's still always a new aspect, and as one of the speakers in the show talked about having 4 pieces of a million-piece puzzle, there is so much more of an avenue to go down. Everything is trial and error. Has somebody come through a new format that they're using right now that is more successful? There's always that possibility. We could also have, Bigfoot could be somewhere captured right now. We could have UFOs at Roswell, and Loch Ness Monster could be, at SeaWorld. There's a million different aspects of could people have already been successful and not reveal that information? Yes. Would I say that that's a successful way of doing it? No, but that takes us back again to, are we ready as a mass public to have that knowledge, to be able to take it? So do we need to take these baby steps now as a public? Maybe. So that's the only way I would answer it.
Steve, what I heard, and I might have misinterpreted this, but what I was hearing you ask was, have we been given a red herring? Have we been led in the wrong direction of, this is the whole paradigm that you're going to think about everything so that you can never actually ask the right question ever?
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly how I meant it.
And what I've seen with not only TV, because obviously TV is a powerful medium, but movies now seem to be even more. The real deeper concepts are put into movies. The daily anchors and embeds are on TV. But I've seen that the exact same thing, to where we're moving to a point now where anything that's of a global interest or critical mass interest, once they recognize that, they say, oh, you're interested in spirituality? Well, here, have a New Age movement to distract you. Oh, you like this? You like sports? Here, how about a Super Bowl? Here, you like this? How about this? Anything to get you away from you, whatever's effective. And now, paranormal activity, and no plug for the movie, but just the idea that it's such a massive thing in consciousness, you have to address it. How do you keep them from getting to it? Give them a red herring. Give them a distraction.
I don't think this was going to be a conspiracy show, but you know what? Like the two callers said, anything's possible. I don't know if that's. Think of it this way: if that was the case, then people like us who are trying to do real, I guess as serious a research as we possibly can, I think we'll find a lot. Well, maybe they have done it with the TVs and trying to throw everybody out there, but we're allowed to do what we're doing here without any sort of friction. We can go any way we want, even with my online magazine. I can go any way I want, write whatever article I want, and I don't hear anything back saying you better stop or else we're going to shut you down. However, that being said, the easiest way to distract people is by media. You throw on something like Paranormal Activity, the movie, or you throw in, the shows that you have, and all of a sudden people's attention spans are diverted somewhere else. So it's always a possibility, like anything else. I don't tend to believe that, only because I'm not big on conspiracy theories myself. I know there are certain things that obviously are not being said to the public and I think a lot of it is for good reason, but nonetheless, it's always a possibility. I just tend to think that we ourselves are not really thinking outside the box when it comes to the paranormal. We're regurgitating prior philosophies and prior methods of doing the paranormal research, and we're not really trying to search for something new. That's what I think the biggest problem with us doing this right now is.
Well, you know what, guys? We're going to take a short break here. I think we lost somebody. I think we lost George. George, if you want to call back in, you're more than welcome to. Again, folks, we have paranormal open lines, 914-803-4095. And Chad and Alex, you want to hear a joke?
Sure.
I am going to open up the lines. Well, they are already open, but I want to hear from somebody who thinks they are a certified or expert or professional in the field of paranormal investigating. I want to hear from you. Call 914-803-4095. But, this is open to anybody, obviously. Call us. We're going to take a short break. Hold tight, and we'll be right back. All right, and welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And tonight we're having paranormal open lines. You can call us at 914-803-4095. We'll bring you in with your question, comment, suggestion, criticism, you name it, or story. If you have a story, if you have a haunting in your home, we would certainly invite you to call. Again, that is 914-803-4095. I just want to quickly put out there that because I know there are a few people that like to or who listen to the show that are big on horror movies or films of fringe benefit cinema. Visit Cinema Nocturna. It's back up after a year hiatus, and we cover everything there under the sun that Hollywood tends to ignore. The really cool flicks. So yeah, check that out. Just Google Cinema Nocturna, or visit it at www.cinema-nocturna, which is NOCTURNA.com. Yeah. Welcome back, guys.
Glad to be back.
Chad's
this
still with us?
I don't know. Is he still there? Oh, there he is.
Okay. Once again, folks, this is open lines. 914-803-4095. Chad, thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks for being on. It's the only thing interesting on.
And I want to thank George too for calling in. His phone died, so thanks for calling in. Certainly, always great to hear from George. Yes, I'm telling you, there are just so many aspects of the paranormal out there that I don't know. Let me ask you: is there something out there that, and I'm sure the answer is yes, as something there that we have not discovered yet?
Probably everything.
It's just amazing that this has come to our. Let's get into why people are interested in the paranormal period, and I'm sure people will come up with the same answer, but. Let me ask you, Chad, why do you think people are so in tune to the paranormal?
You mean now as opposed to another time, or always? Because it seems to me that we've always been interested in it in one way or another. We've changed what we call paranormal. I mean, at first fire was paranormal, and then it was, astrology, and then it was understanding the sun, and a lot of other understandings that have been paranormal. When you said about something that we might be missing, that's actually the question nobody's asking. And I don't know the answer to that either, but that is a damn good question to be asking, because I feel that there is something that we're missing that kind of underlies everything that we consider paranormal now, mystical, all this stuff. Maybe there is one thing that we're maybe even intentionally been misled away from, that if we just understood that, it would tie everything in, and everything would make sense, from the ghosts to the hauntings to the paranormal experiences that everybody experiences. Those fringe experiences is what makes it uncontrollable, by the way. People having their own experiences, those are uncontrollable effects, at least by anybody who would seek to control them.
So do you think, in the current state, how it is now, do you think there will be answers?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As long as the sun keeps going and we keep going, we're going to keep asking questions and we're going to get the answers. That seems to be the way it's worked so far.
Oh, bring them on! Bring those answers. It's just amazing, and I do believe it. I do believe that we will start to chip away properly at those answers. And but the thing is, will we properly build on what's given to us? Those clues. I think And let's face it, the clues are right. Well, we might be, but I mean, for the most part, it's amazing because I think those clues are staring us right in the face. Obviously, they're right there. It's just that we just either we can't tune into it.
But by doing what you do, and everyone out there like you who is searching for this, there was a time when people never looked up. People didn't even watch the skies. They didn't see these things. And now that people are looking up, if you've watched YouTube recently, I used to be one of the kind of semi-skeptical people of, UFOs flying around literally in the sky. I thought they were interdimensional, but not a physical thing that was really occurring. And if you just watch YouTube recently, you'll see that there are some very interesting footage from real people who just happen to be looking up now, who never were before. And what got people doing that was all the movement to look up. Well, you guys are getting people to look within or look outside, wherever it is that these things come from. You're getting people to look in that direction. The more people that focus on it, guess what? We're going to start seeing more stuff, capturing more things, evidence, you call it,
Mm-hmm.
More of it's come just because you're directing consciousness in that direction to get people to ask those questions. They're going to come up with answers.
Well, that's a good point you're making. That's true. I mean, the more you make people aware that stuff like this does occur, the more people will do sort of like a soul-searching sort of thing. And I think a lot of the answers, for myself personally, a lot of the, I wouldn't say the paranormal answers anyway. That's if that's external, that's external. But a lot of the, I guess, spiritual answers are going to be coming from within and only from within. My biggest thing with all this knowledge stuff, to touch base back on that a little bit, is that if we all knew the answers to all the questions, we would lead a very, very boring life. And we're inquisitive by nature, and if we had nothing to look forward to, what would be the point of us living? I think that's part of the reason why we are the way we are, and we know what we know. We have to search for it. We're given sort of like a maze and saying, here, if you want to know what the answer is to this question, you have to go and find it.
I've heard that over and over from a lot of different sources about it. But it seems to be my understanding that it never ends. Just because we understand the next level that takes us to Type 1, where we can harness the energy of the planet, there's going to be new questions. Now all of a sudden we're going to have to wonder where that energy comes from. We're going to have a whole new paradigm, and it never ends. Even no matter where you go up, I'm sure God sitting there asking herself questions right now. It never ends.
I agree.
It never ends.
You know what? Let's sort of analyze or go into theories and tools and stuff like that a lot of these groups and people use to research and investigate. And of course, one of the best or the most successful has been audio, obviously through EVPs. And again, I don't want to say evidence because, I mean, theory-wise, they may be evidence, but we can't prove it. And again, same with somebody who might have a psychic ability or sensitive or has that, there are a lot of people who come out of the woodwork who say they've had some sort of encounter with a ghost or an alien or whatever. Again, we as a human species, in order to believe it, and again, nowadays, sometimes won't believe it even through presenting something tangible. So, I mean, is it really a waste of time to use these tools to record what possibly can be, staring us in the eye, evidence? I mean, what do we do?
It all depends on who you're trying to prove it to. If you're trying to prove it to the mass, the whole world, good luck. Because there's always going to be skeptics no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what you present, they'll always find a way to question it. If you're doing it for your own personal benefit, to prove it to yourself or to prove it to your peers who have done this as well and can relate, okay, that's a different story. But again, trying to prove it to everyone, it's almost like beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I see that. And honestly, when I thought about it, of going to acquire it myself, it wasn't so much, some of it was to bring it to the world kind of thing, but really, when I really think about it, it's for me to see it, because to see that would just, to me, in my mind, would shift my whole thinking to a different level of what's possible, after seeing it. I don't care what they say about, well, you have to believe it first and then you'll see it. Nah, I disagree, because if you can do it, your ability shouldn't be predicated on my belief, now should it? I mean, if you can do it, then you can do it, whether or not I believe it or not. So show me.
Absolutely. And again, one person's experience is not necessarily another person's belief, obviously. There's no doubt about that. I don't know how many times, like I said, I had myself an experience with what I believe to be, and I hate using the paraphrasing of a shadow person, but I mean, I did have an experience where, I don't want to. It's paranormal in the aspect where it was unknown to me, and unknown to the people who are around me at the time. So of course it's paranormal, but it could be my mind playing tricks. It could be lighting. It could have been anything. But the fact remains is that I saw something that did not look right. And my brain calculated as such. Does that make it paranormal in the sense of evidence, though? No, it doesn't, because I alone witnessed it. Nobody else there did. And again, that leads down to, obviously, when you investigate, you need to have people there with you on so many levels. That being, if you do witness something, you have somebody to witness it there with you, hopefully. And again, it brings more energy to the area. So, I mean, if the theory goes right that these spirits and whatnot latch on to energy to manifest or whatnot, hey, wouldn't more people make more sense for the more of a likelihood of something appearing? Right.
Unless, the only thing I was thinking is, if, like, for me to see a ghost or a manifestation of something, it could just be something, an energy source kind of connecting with me and making me perceive it so I can see the form, or, maybe that's how it works. I don't know. But if that's the case, then even two people, like you said, that's just more energy. Well, now you could probably see more form. You'd have more energy to manifest whatever illusion, that this thing wanted you to see. Just kind of guessing on that, but when you said that, it kind of clicked to me that, well, if that's how it works, if they're using us as the battery, because we're the conduit, we're here in this world, and they need us to believe it or give it energy so it can be here, then that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I see something bouncing around in the chat. Infrasound, a vital part of, I guess, how we interact. Because one thing is for sure, we all owe a lot to frequency. Our livelihoods are surrounded by frequency. Our bodies are a frequency, along with interacting with different frequencies. And obviously, with infrasound, when humans, especially humans, are exposed to infrasound, it makes them sick, because it's a band that we aren't normally exposed to, and we're not built to withstand a long doses of infrasound once exposed to it. Is this, in fact, could this lead to giving us possible evidence, or does it actually manipulate us into thinking that we are experiencing possible evidence or encounters?
You can induce those things now. In the military, we've got like little rifles, guns that produce pulse weapons that are just ELF waves that make you either sick or hallucinate or hear voices or whatever. You can do it from a van 2 blocks away. Just And the person really believes it. They believe, and they are hearing it. There's no doubt they're hearing it. They believe it, and they see it, and everything else. I don't know. Interesting topic. Especially when people seem to be delusional, so to speak, or...
Oh, I think, did we lose Chad? Oh, okay, you're breaking up there.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, you're fine. Okay, there you are. Maybe they don't want. Somebody doesn't want you want us to hear what you're trying to say there, Chad.
That was interesting because I hear the echo now.
Well, okay. Let's get down to this then. There are literally thousands upon, well, I used to say millions of people who are institutionalized because of being psychotic or bipolar or believing that they're hearing or seeing things. Now, of course, that being on the level of scientific and psychiatry saying that, no, you're just sick. Could this possibly be the wrong thing, that these people are, their bodies, their minds, their frequencies are tuned into something that we have a filter for?
I've thought about that before, actually. It's an interesting topic. If we're going based on the theory that our brains are frequency tuners, that could very well be the possibility where some of these individuals have their sort of dial halfway through two stations and are getting two different frequencies coming in at the same time, and it could be really playing with their, their minds, so to speak. If that's what the case is, then that's would be one explanation for the possible, some of the possible conditions that these people are being put away for. But at the same time, you have to also think, and now what about the reverse of that? And what about people who haven't been diagnosed with some kind of mental illness, for example, who are out there and are saying that they're seeing things or hearing things and passing them off as paranormal when in reality it's all in their heads? I mean, this can go either way, really. And that's the tricky part. I mean, this is why it's so important, I guess, to some extent, to find some tangible evidence to say, okay, yes, these people are not crazy, for lack of a better term. They are onto something. We do have proof now, tangible proof and repeatable proof that we can and actually will communicate with whatever else we're communicating with. But until we get that, then it's really up in the air. We can go one way or the other.
And let's dive into this a bit, because, I mean, obviously this is an important thing, aspect of the paranormal and investigating it, because people have to, you have to deal with people. You have to be able to understand, as an investigator or researcher, when you're going into somebody's home, you want to have some sort of reassurance that you're walking into something that, in fact, may be something that's actually going on and not something a figment of somebody's imagination through medication or whatever else. I just want to add, folks, that you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and tonight we have completely open lines. If you would like to join in the conversation, or if you have a question, please do call us at 914-803-4095, and we'll get you in there to ask, or however you have your question formatted. Let's see, I want to talk about those filters. I mean, because, there are people that say they have experiences, that they see apparitions, spirits, people say angels, people say demons, spirit guides, however it is, and I'm not going to discount it, but because I haven't experienced it. I've experienced certain things, but let's talk about the filter effect here. For the most part, do you think that most of us have a filter going that if we could somehow rework that filter to open it, or should we say, how do we open that filter? Period. How do we open that filter to, or do we want to open that filter, that buffer? Do we? And let me ask this: who put that filter there? If it's there.
I think we kind of did it to ourselves to begin with. I mean, sometimes the filters are there for our own protection, sure, but I think what we did was when we started becoming more material and less spiritual, I think that's what did it to us, mostly.
I have to agree. Again, you have to go down to how society has played out. Certain things that, were, I don't want to say outlawed. That filter is exactly what we're doing now. It's called questioning. Yeah, I believe. But
filters are paradigms. Wow.
Yeah.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Do you hear the echo as well?
Yeah.
Okay, let me call back in.
Okay.
Let's see if that'll.
All right. Yeah, I think the filters.
Yeah, it's almost like those people have had traumatic events and don't seem to remember them. They don't remember them for a reason. You know what I mean? And those filters are put in place, I think, by ourselves, almost like an internal protection mechanism. They put them there for a specific reason. If we want to continue living the way we were living currently with all this materialism and wanting to get money, then we have to unfortunately block everything else out.
Well, I think Chad, you back with us?
Yeah, I think so. Is that better?
Yeah, you sound great now.
Okay.
I think those filters with a lot of us that they tend to make a lot of people more skeptical and to the point to outright debunking those who might have been able to adjust those filters and maybe turn them right off. What do you think?
I wanted to say before that filters are paradigms. Our lenses of perception and the way we perceive things. So what you're referring to as filters are the paradigms we've been handed, the mindsets, the way to understand, whether it be the paranormal, spirituality, whatever. The filter that we put, no matter what we encounter, it's not really what we encounter that determines our experience. It's the filter we present it through to ourselves. And so that's when you said that, I think filters have been, some of them have been put there intentionally, obviously, and then others, like I think Alex said about being self-imposed as defense mechanisms. Some of those are there. You keep putting them there. Eventually, everything's getting filtered down to where I don't know what kind of purified reality we're drinking, but I don't know if it's if it's real anymore.
Oh. Why? Okay. Let me just something that's been put out into the chat room. Somebody's been loose on BTR under the name of Insights with Michael. Apparently has raped I don't want to repeat that, but I don't know. Are we being attacked here? Whatever. We even have Howard Stern in the room. Welcome, Howard Stern. Anyhow, to continue on with what's going on here. Now, yeah, this is an important thing when it comes down to research. Even if you do have those filters in place, you really need to try to set them aside and focus on what you need to do in terms of what really is going on with the investigation itself and the research itself. Many people will go into the research or investigations and visit a location once. It's the wrong idea. You need to visit, and we mentioned this. Chad mentioned this earlier in the show. You need to keep going to a certain location over and over and over and over again. So I think that's a good way of diminishing that filter, Chad. to figure the key to opening that filter up and actually becoming in tune with that location in terms of evidence-wise and in hopes of gathering some hard evidence.
What if we're the best instrument? Humans. What if humans are the only instrument? I mean, you see how technology just mirrors our own abilities anyway. But what if we're the only instrument that can detect some of these spiritual presences, even what we call ghosts and things like that? Maybe it takes a human mind or a human frequency to even detect it, and no equipment. And, well, I don't know, maybe not no equipment, but what we have today, that doesn't seem to be able to do it. But a human brain does, because it's humans that continue to see these things, and experience these events, not just sightings, but events. I'm kind of fascinated by when stuff moves. That is something non-physical interacting with a physical substance. I mean, that is proof to me, and I have seen video of that. I've also got an interesting security cam video that's in a complex where you have a woman that walks through a wall, and it's interesting because she's completely solid, and yet she walks through the solid wall, and it's captured on security camera, and we can't explain it. We don't know much at all, do we?
All right, we've got a couple callers. Let's see. We'll take the first call here. 487, you're live on Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Hey, how you guys doing today? My name is Mike. I'm from Macon.
It's a prank caller. Just saying it. It's a prank caller. I feel you.
What?
Okay. What did you have to say?
I just wanted to talk about apparitions I've been seeing in my house, but since you guys want to be fucking assholes about it.
Okay, see you later. Nobody's being assholes. Obviously, if you're going to crank call, that's the kind of reaction you're going to get. Unfortunately,
I was wrong.
No, it's not unfortunate. It's open lines. Let's be serious about it. Okay. We'll take the next caller.
Open lines, yeah, definitely open lines, I guess.
Yeah, that's way too open.
Now, you guys know there's a group, and you're getting them right now. These same people that are calling you, there's probably 13 people on your switchboard right now. They're all in the same location. They're all doing this. And what they do is they record this, and then they put it on YouTube to get attention later. I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a shame, like you try to be serious about, something like that, but unfortunately that's just the way it goes. It's time to prune those who decide to play the games. I'm sorry, but hey, see you later. This is what I mean, though, Chad and Alex. You try to be serious about something like this because it doesn't go that way.
But what a great filter. See, what a great filter, because what if you were starting to present information that gives people one more little piece of the puzzle? And a great way to deter that or eliminate that or give people a filter is by that kind of behavior right there. It's a great example of how you divert people away from the content that we were talking about,
Yeah.
I've never understood it any other way than that. That's the only way it makes any sense to me. Especially hearing these guys call. It's not just you guys, by the way. It's not just us. It's everybody. They actually get everybody on BTR and the same account. They post their calls on YouTube.
Yeah.
They see how long their MO is to see how long they can keep you going, and the longer they can get you, going, then they get you.
Now, I realize that reality TV is cheap production, guys, but hey, see what happens? The end result of it? Too much reality TV.
Yeah, it's a good filter for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely right. Let's get back on topic here. Yeah. Alex, is there something that you wanted to discuss in terms of this, how we were going here before our interruption?
We're still talking about filters?
Yeah, well, let's continue on with filters, yeah.
Okay. My personal belief with anything, I mean, we have to kind of have these filters in place for our own protection. I mean, as I mentioned earlier on the show, if we were to know everything, if all the information were to be suddenly just swarmed into us, if we had no filter, just imagine just how much of an impact that would have on us. I mean, would we even be able to handle it? I think the filters were always there to protect us to a certain extent, but we've made them stronger to the point where we're not generally able to see the spirit world or the paranormal in general, because we've removed our focus from there and have focused ourselves on more the material aspect of life as opposed to the spiritual aspect. That's where I think those filters have sort of gained strength in a sense, and have allowed us not to see that kind of stuff. What we need to do if we want to get back to our spiritual side is just that, become more spiritual. Whichever path you choose to go, you focus on that and don't worry so much about the material stuff. Just focus on your spirituality, just focus on whatever you want to experience, and it's going to take time. I mean, think about it. Think how long it took us as a society to have these filters not put in place, but strengthened to a point where it allowed us not to see this stuff. It's going to take us a very long time to sort of break that barrier down to be able to actually go on and see what we need to see.
All right, we have another caller, and I think I can identify this. No more cranks. Hello, Gary. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good to have you.
Not bad. How you doing, Gary?
I just wanted to ask you guys, are we ever going to be able to prove to the masses the existence of ghosts? Is there any possible way we could do that, or is there just sort of too much scope for fakery out there? Are we only ever going to be able to have personal proof?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, eventually. Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'd say yes, because at one point they were asking the exact same question about the Earth revolving around the sun. Will we ever be able to prove that the Earth actually goes around the sun rather than? And yeah, one day I do believe we'll be able to have, even if it happens that it takes a critical mass of people to experience it firsthand themselves with their own instruments, to prove it worldwide. You see what I'm saying? And it's great to hear another Australian accent, mate.
English.
How's it going
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
English.
Oh,
Sorry. My bad. I'm American. What do I know? I was born in India. Forgive me.
London accent, that one.
Sorry. Well, you guys own Australia. Same thing. Whatever.
For me personally, I think with the current method that we're approaching this with, we won't find a way to prove to other people that paranormal exists. We have to change the way we approach it first, and then maybe we have a chance of proving it. The possibility is there, but not at the current rate.
You think the filters are keeping us away from it?
I think mostly it's the fact that we are approaching it the wrong way. We're not getting away from the old way of doing it. I mean, we're using technology, number one, that's not really designed to be able to capture what it's supposed to. Right. It might, you know what I mean? It might on those off chances, sure, but at the same time, we need to develop better, I guess, for the sake of better technology that's geared towards actually attaining that sort of realm, if we're even hoping to get there.
What if the human brain is the instrument? What if our brain is the instrument? What if it's the only instrument we've got so far that can detect this finer vibration, this finer reality? A finer band of light is what it really is, because that's when we see it. You feel it.
If that's the case, we will never be able to prove it to others. That's the only problem. To us personally, if everybody had it, then that's different. But the chances of that happening, at least in the near future, is very unlikely. At the rate we're going as far as society is concerned, it's very unlikely. If by what you said before, if it was almost like a cataclysm where everybody sort of was forced to have an experience, for lack of a better term, then that's a different story. But again, at the current rate that we're going, whether it be spiritually or whether it be technologically, as far as what we're doing in the paranormal field, I don't see it happening in the near future.
But don't you like to at least feel or imagine? Don't you feel that you're in the frontier? Like even if you're just clear cutting the forest that will one day be L.A. You know, you're not going to see the progress in your lifetime, but you're still doing something that's pioneering that whole direction of thought. You know,
sure. And this is why I do what I do. No doubt about that. I mean, I know, even if I personally believe that in my lifetime I will not see tangible proof that will be able to prove to everyone that the paranormal does exist or the spirit world exists, it doesn't matter to me. I like to think that I will be a part of the beginning stages of that, or at least lay down one of the stones for other people to follow and lay bricks on top of that and on top of that and on top of that until we get to that point where we can finally say, yes, we have tangible proof. This is what it is, and here it is. Here's the proof.
The question, I would have to add is saying, how do you know we haven't presented that already, though? We don't know. There are so many aspects with people who have presented something, and it's been completely thrown, out. There are people who have captured something, or probably something that they completely bypassed, or would say, "Oh no," or somebody debunked it or whatever, and just threw it away.
Yeah. You know, in fact, I'm not a paranormal researcher by any means, but I think anyone who even has these questions, I think the first thing we should all say aloud is, I don't know.
Well, that's why I say, like, I don't like to mention the word evidence, because I can't prove it that it's evidence. I can only speculate through theory that it possibly is, other than, hey, it's unknown, okay, it's paranormal. But that's it. Gary, how do you think about that? Like, when you're talking or when you're sharing something or whatever, what's your presentation?
Basically, I say to people, if you're looking for evidence to prove to other people, you're wasting your time, because people are always going to say you faked that or something like that, and it's going to be virtually impossible to build something to detect ghosts because we haven't got the parameters to work with. We don't know if ghosts exist, and if they do, we don't know what they're made of. So if something does come out that detects ghosts, I think it's going to be completely by accident. So I think at the end of the day, if you're an investigator, you should be looking for that personal proof. Trying to prove to others, I don't think you're going to do it. It's exactly the same as trying to prove to everybody that God exists. If you've had that personal experience that proves to you that God exists, that's all you need. You can't try and teach your neighbour that God exists or prove to him. So
I agree. I think this guy's got it. He just told us the answer. Instead of bringing them the evidence or the proof of the picture, which, like he says, that could be doctored, okay, how do we bring people to the first-hand experience? Forget bringing them the evidence. Let's just bring them to the first-hand experience, and then it's all done.
Definitely. You know what? Gary, what you're saying, I agree with. The thing with the paranormal, again, it's the unknown. Much like religion. I mean, a lot of religions will say this is what it is, and to them it is. It's a belief. You either believe it or you don't. If you've had a personal experience, like Gary said, then obviously you're going to believe it. It's the same thing with the paranormal. With regards to the technology, Gary, it's true. You're only going to be able to find it by accident. A lot of the discoveries we've made technologically have been by accident. But I think the problem here is that we're not even trying to get that accident happening. We're just going, pro quo with whatever we have, we're using. We're not even trying to determine whether we can figure it out at all. And that's part of the problem. As far as trying to get tangible proof. If we were to try to at least experiment, saying, okay, well, let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. And who knows, maybe one day we might find something that works, and we might actually be able to have tangible proof. But if we don't try, we'll never know.
Right. I'd say forget the proof. Let's just take the people to the experience. So, like the caller is saying that, that's going to give them the people the first-hand experience. That's what's going to matter. That's what influenced me. Like I said with the monks levitating, you show me that alters my whole paradigm. It takes away a lot of filters, and now I'm operating on a completely different mindset because I have seen this. And I say show it to the rest of the world and let it fall where it may. Let's just go from there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's this is what I find so intriguing about this field, is because it can go so many different directions. It's virtually limitless the way it seems to be at the moment. You can go one way, another person can go another way, and the beauty about this field also is that no one theory is either right or wrong. I mean, I can come up with a theory and it can be just as tangible as someone else's theory, and this is what makes it also so intriguing to a lot of people, because they actually get the opportunity to participate themselves, as opposed to, say, for example, like the scientific community, where you have to be going to school to actually be able to participate in this sort of thing. Anyone can do it, and I think this is why it's grabbing so many people's attention.
It's a valid point, and also keep in mind that what we think is completely accurate one day, literally in our time now, it changes the next day. The theories, the laws, the equations that applied on Wednesday don't matter at all on Thursday, because we come up with a new equation that solves something completely different. And now the laws are all new again. And so we need to keep that in mind on our day-to-day basis, that we're expanding, not just in technology, but in consciousness, and truly understanding what's going on here, what we're doing, what we're experiencing. That's developing on a daily basis. So what we absolutely know today may not mean shit tomorrow.
Exactly. I agree with that also, because there's been past scientific theories that have been sort of been squashed by newer theories that have come out in recent years. I mean, no one really knows. And how do we go about trying to prove it? Well, like I think both of you and I and even Gary has said, it's no point trying to prove it to anybody else. I think the important thing is try to first focus on ourselves, maybe do something to try to reduce that proverbial filter that we all have, and share the experience, and then maybe we can move forward from there.
Yes. And what if every time another human experiences it, it lays the groundwork for consciousness to be able to present it to everyone?
Sure, that's definitely another possibility. Gary, what's your thoughts on all this?
Well, I think it's mainly education. I mean, there was a thing going in the chat room a bit earlier about networking, and I think that's fantastic. The more people that are trying different things, I think the more chance. I mean, you get a group one day say, look, we tried this and got fantastic results. All of a sudden, everybody's trying it, and I think that's right. What needs to happen. Yeah. And I think if you're gonna do a group, don't watch the TV shows, because people that go investigating know that if you put your fingers on the glass, it doesn't always spin around the table. You don't always get EMF meters going off the scale. You don't always get weird things caught on camcorders. Do your research, look back how they did it 100 years ago, how it started. Try doing it that way. You may get better results with some flowers sprinkled on the floor or a piece of string stretched across a door frame than you will with thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I can still hear his British accent now. I'm sorry. So British. It's awesome. I love it. He's the only one that speaks English, by the way. He's the only one that speaks English. We talk American.
Yes.
Speak for yourself, Chad. Well, this is what I mean. This is what we need to do, though. We need to give each other that most important awareness, and I have my ways of investigating. Alex has his, Gary has his, but I mean, look at it. If I need a hand with something, Maybe Gary's able to give me a hand. I'm going to shoot him over an email or whatever and say, hey, Gary, listen, I got something here that, can I get your opinion on? This is what I mean. This is what I mean by the networking with people that are actually in tune to trying to figure out some answers here.
What would you guys think about having like a database, so to speak? A database that everybody can use, everybody in the field can utilize, and sort of everybody. And I think that's sort of like what Justin from LCGH is sort of trying to do, is create a database where everybody can input and also read other people's input and sort of go from there.
Be a fantastic idea. Wow, I really think that'd be a fantastic. And also put on there as well your ethics, like a strict code of ethics, because there's a lot of like companies, sort of sprouting up. They're seeing a TV show, going out and buying an EMF meter. Next thing, they're going into somebody's house. They don't know what they're doing. They don't realise the damage they could be causing. So if they had a set of guidelines. And I'm not, because everybody is going to come up with a different set of guidelines, but if they've got that tool there to use, it might have something on there, I've not thought of that, that's a good idea. So that would be another good thing as well. So yeah, I think it's crying out for it at the moment.
Well, okay, let me add here, okay? Matthew in the chat room saying it would never work, that the current generation of TV-trained paranormalists are too competitive. I don't know if that's in reference to this whole database. I have always been for that. I think that's a great idea. The only thing is there are people who don't like reform. They don't like to have restrictions. But we can do this where there is still that freedom. But I mean, have people like, say, yourself, Gary, say, look, this is what you'd like to see. Justin, Alex, Chad there with his research and what you've learned. Naz with what he's doing with his research. I think it's great. I think we should do that. I think that's a great idea. Beginning with people that we know are serious about wanting to further this into possible answers.
Yeah.
You mean like
everything's. Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
Oh, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because I think that's a great idea. But like a paranormal library of our own first-hand experiences, is that what you mean?
If it's that,
theories, everything.
Exactly. I mean, for instance, an area where, say, if an investigator or researcher comes across something that they may think is plausible evidence, but does not want to pass it off as that, and would like to have further review from people who are a part of this database, Gary, whoever, throw it in there and say, hey, let me get your thoughts, let me get your theories about what this is to you.
If you did that, you know what would happen? See, here's what I found out. I've got to talk with so many different people from around the world who think they're the only ones that are thinking this stuff. And it's interesting because they're not. Everyone is, and we're not getting it from each other. And so that's a curious, whole other paranormal event that should be studied in and of itself. But that's what's going on. And if you did this exact same thing with paranormal research and sightings and first-hand experiences, what would happen is people would realize, wait a minute, I'm not the only one seeing this shadow person or this entity or this experience that I have every night or whatever. This guy in Wisconsin is having the same thing. And you would put it together, and you would eliminate a lot of filters by doing that, man.
It would also help debunk a lot of things, because if you got a lot of sightings of the same sort of thing, you could work out sort of environmental conditions, that sort of stuff. And if they correlated, you could say, look, well, that happens at this specific set time, under a specific set of, like environmental conditions. You could either debunk it or try and recreate it. So, there's scope for a lot there to sort of help out.
Yeah.
now it's all disconnected because you have all these different groups with their own websites that have little snippets here, little snippets there. The important thing, I think, is to get all of these little snippets and put it in one centralized database that everybody has access to. You know what I mean? And that's where you start. You start off with something like that, and then let it go from there and let it grow as more people come on and contribute and also read from it and learn. You know, I think it's very doable. And like I said earlier, Justin is one of the people who is a big advocate of this and is trying to do something to this extent as well. And I think it would be a great idea, not only because one of the things that this field is lacking that a lot of other quote-unquote serious fields have is peer review, right? We don't have peer review in this field because we are so disconnected from each other. Yeah, we can all go on everybody else's website, but we are not reviewing our own stuff, our own material, and taking that healthy criticism and trying to go forward with it.
Well, yeah, you know, exactly, and that's the problem. It's splintered. Everybody has their own website and has their own presentation, and that's great. And that's what links are for. But you know what? If you have this central area, all that can be linked into this central area. That can all be dealt with on that manner. But you know what? Like I said, I threw my email out there in the chat room. I definitely would love to get something like this going because, I mean, I think this is, you know, that you guys obviously think this is important, and you guys are obviously at the forefront of researching certain areas of the paranormal. I think we can make this work, and I'm dead set on let's get this going.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's amazing. It's like the Library of Congress for paranormal events.
Absolutely. And you know what? I will not take no for an answer, and I don't care who you are in the paranormal or whatever to say that this would not work. Okay? I'm not calling this paranormal unity. No, this is not, because let's face it, that has been tried before and it's never worked. No, this is a hub for information on people who are serious about wanting to take this research further, for helping those who are looking for an avenue, a correct way of doing things, a reference, a dictionary, you know, whatever. I think this is what we need to do. And like I said, Sorry? It's the table.
Remember we said we've got 4 pieces of 10,000 piece puzzle? What you're talking about is building the table so everybody can come and put their one piece on the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, like you know what? I'm going to put a hub right there right now. I've put my email out there right now for anybody who's interested in wanting to get this off the ground. It's SOPS Investigations. It's all one word, SOPSINVESTIGATIONS at gmail.com. If you're interested, email me. Sorry?
Just repost it.
Yeah, I'll repost it again, yeah. We've only got a few seconds here left, guys. You know what? Before we go, let's get your information out there for everybody to find you guys, and you know, hopefully down the road we'll have a central hub where everyone can find everyone, right?
Exactly.
Chad, let's start with you. Where can everybody find you?
InnerCirclePublishing.com, easiest place. You know, we're here on Aware Talk Radio with Blog Talk, but InnerCirclePublishing.com, we publish Aware books, Aware writing.
Perfect. Gary, get your stuff out there for people to find you.
Sure, yep, it's ukparanormalnetwork.co.uk. If you go on the site, there's that table of ethics that was written by myself and my wife, who is a psychologist, so she's got that view on it as well. By all means, if you've got any questions, email us, and I'll be emailing that over to yourself as well, Steve.
Perfect.
So, and any other information you need as well.
Amazing. You know what? This is what I mean. We need to do something like this to kickstart something. And I don't want to say a movement. It's not a movement. It's trying to better understand what's going on around us, because clearly something's going on. We just don't know what it is. We can only theorize. And I think by doing something like this will bring us to the next step in trying to at least try to answer some of those pieces. Like Alex said, for the next generation of people who, are looking to do this seriously, give them a place to start. Guys, thank you for calling in tonight, and thank you, George, earlier who called in from Florida. He's always welcome to come back as well. Next week, myself and Alex will hopefully have a huge announcement for you guys about the show. We'll certainly get that out to you. Hopefully. Cross your fingers, Alex.
I'm crossing them.
Gary and Chad, thanks again for calling in, guys.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we'll certainly have another round table cracking the paranormal code up soon, because those always spark some great interest and some great thoughts and discussion. Till next Sunday night, guys, take care and be well.
Good night, everyone.
Your hosts,